Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago Opposition's media briefing this Sunday, the 1st of September, 2024, discussing crime and education. Today, our presenters are MP Saddam Hosein, Shadow for the Attorney General and Legal Affairs, and also Dr. Michael Dowlath, the former principal of Naparima College. Thank you very much for joining us. We will begin our broadcast shortly. In the meanwhile, please share the live.
Everybody now, let's go. Come on, come on. Hey. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh, yeah. It's time to make a difference. It's time to turn that page. We got to do the right things if we want brighter days. Cause things ain't getting easy and the road ahead is tough. It's up to you and I to make the madness stop. Every day the things getting harder, and every day the things getting rough, and every day they hike the food prices and they implementing more tax. For the sake of our twin nation and the youth and the next generation, let's stand united, show we not divided. Let's show them now and send them a message now.
Show them that we're the voice of hope.
Send them a message now.
Show them that our country ain't no joke.
Send them a message now.
Show them that we're the ones who care.
Send them a message now.
Oh, yeah, yeah. From a distance, look at the picture. Tell me what you see. An abstract of destruction to destroy you and me. We got to do the right thing. We got to make that move. Cause if we don't act fast on this, we're the ones who lose.
Every day the things getting harder, and every day the things getting rough, and every day they hike the food prices and they implementing more tax. For the sake of our twin nation and the youth and the next generation, let's stand united, show we not divided. Let's show them now and send them a message now.
Show them that we are the voice of hope.
Send them a message now.
Show them that our country ain't no joke.
Send them a message now.
Show them that we are the ones who care.
Send them a message now.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to the Opposition Leaders Media Briefing, which we hold on a weekly basis. I am Saddam Hosein, the Member of Parliament for the constituency of Barataria San Juan, and joining me this morning is Dr. Michael Dowlath. Myself and Dr. Dowlath this morning will be addressing some pertinent issues in relation to Trinidad and Tobago. In particular, I will be addressing those issues in relation to crime, criminality, and some constituency issues that have been circulating in the media over the past 24 to 48 hours. Dr. Michael Dowlath will address us on issues in relation to the education sector in light of the reopening of school tomorrow. Dr. Dowlath is an educator for the past 34 years, the former principal of Naparima Boys College, San Fernando. He spent 15 years there as the principal and 5 years at the Irie High School as the principal, and he also served in the capacity as the former chairman of the Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago. So I welcome Dr. Michael Dowlath to join us this morning and address you members of the media on pertinent issues in relation to the education sector.
Thank you very much, MP Saddam Hosein. Good morning to the listening and viewing audience, members of the media, and welcome to the good citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. how many of us are affected by poor decisions made about education? When we think about the opening of school tomorrow, more than 1/3 of the population of Trinidad and Tobago, the 1.5 million, will be affected by the opening of schools. There are over 762 public schools, ECC centers, primary schools, and secondary schools. And the population of those schools add up just to about 237,000 students. So when we think about the students, when we think about the parents, when we think about persons who support education, cafeteria, ancillary, security, maxi-taxi drivers, we have close to 500,000 persons involved. And we see this when we look at the traffic jams that will occur tomorrow on the opening of school. So on the eve of the opening of schools, many principals have indicated that little or no work has been done to prepare schools for reopening. When $20 million has been allocated for vacation repairs, one must ask whether the priority in education has changed. Is this sufficient? When we look back at the Guardian article on August the 8th, 2024, both the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, TUTA, and the National Parents Teachers Association, and the NPTA, says that they heard little or nothing from the Ministry of Education on school repairs. TUTA President Martin Lumpkin said they are yet to receive a list of the schools that need repairs. He said the minister informed them that the program could only proceed when funds are released. So when the new school term is about to open, Lumpkin voices concern about especially the school repairs. He was concerned about the ministry putting the lives and safety of the occupants of schools at risk. In that article, it was followed by another one on the Express, which was entitled School Stress. NPTA wants urgent dollars. Tutor protests health plans. These headlines are self-explanatory. So there seems to be none or limited consultations by the Minister and the Ministry of Education with significant stakeholders, including the NAP and national boards, about these critical school repair programs, which must be completed for the beginning of this new school term, which begins tomorrow. This seems to be clearly a reflection of the lack of proactive leadership by the Ministry of Education officials. We have an example at St. George's College on Friday. Reports show that the parents were clearly not informed about what was happening at St. George's College 2 days before the opening of the school term. And this could lead to undue stress for students and parents, adding to the chaos created by the lack of communication from the school officials. Parents complained about needing time to make arrangements for transport and meals and other arrangements. MP Saddam Hosein will expand on this point in his presentation. Marabella Anglican Primary School was handed over on Friday, but it will not open in September, says the PTA representatives. In these harsh economic times, parents have to dig deep in their pockets to pay more for transportation, to send their children to surrounding schools and communities. So I ask the question, is there chaos in the Ministry of Education with respect to school repairs and staffing? How then do we expect quality education to be delivered? Our students, teachers, parents, and those who work in schools must have safe and secure schools. I want to touch on the point of school bureaucracy and teacher shortage. Are we treating our teachers and school administrators with the respect they deserve? Teachers are the people in charge of delivering the curriculum at all levels of the education system. Administrators, without adequate resources, cannot provide the best management and leadership for effective schools. So administrators, without adequate resources, cannot effectively manage for this new school term. When teachers are stressed by the system, how can they create the best teaching plans and learning experiences for our children? In a Guardian article on the 12th of August entitled "End Bureaucracy Hurting School Operations," Tutor President Martin Lumpkin highlighted the critical matter of filling of teacher vacancies. So there exists inadequate staffing at all levels of teachers and administrators. And this seems to be because of a mismatch between the HR needs of the ministry and the processes of the Teaching Service Commission. With inadequate teaching staff, teachers are teaching more than one classes, Lumpkin says. Many teachers continue through their duty of care to go the extra mile, and we applaud them for that. Even principals have to teach classes and run the school at the same time. And this creates a severe strain on the delivery of high-quality education. Are these among the factors that contribute to the poor performance of our primary and secondary school students? But even if these staffing issues are fixed, the lack of school repairs during the school vacation will pose serious disruptions during the upcoming academic year. So for high-quality education to take place in our schools, we definitely need school repairs to be done urgently, staffing issues to be fixed. We need safe and secure schools with adequate staff. From my 20 years experience as a principal, I knew that through school supervisors, all principals will send on time all the data on staffing and school repairs to the Ministry of Education. So where is the breakdown in having adequately staffed, safe and secure schools for the opening of the new school term? I ask the question, is it with the Ministry of Education? How do we treat teachers with respect? What about the delay in payments for the UNIMED group health plan? Tutor continues to protest about the extremely long time teachers have to wait for reimbursements. Some teachers have told me that they have been waiting over a year or 2 years. Why do we have to wait for protests by the teachers' union before any action is taken? We want to look at the exam results. It's clear both at the SEA and the CSEC that the primary school curriculum is not preparing the majority of our students for success when they go from the primary to the secondary schools. In 2022, 16 high-risk secondary schools were identified by the Ministry of Education, and 80 primary schools were identified for remedial education programs. Just about a half of the students who wrote the 2024 SEA exams are failing that exam. The maths results, just 50.7% passed that exam. 14.39% of the students made less than 30%. And 42.09% made less than 50% in the SEA exam. If you look back at 9 years ago, 90% at the SEA results, 90% of the students made more than 50% in the SEA in 2015, and about 1% made less than 30%. So is it sufficient in terms of just identifying schools? What are the programs that will make that difference? There seems to be a systemic problem with students moving up to a higher grade level without mastering the fundamental numeracy and literacy skills at the existing level. And this must change. The principals and teachers of the primary school systems have indicated that there are problems not just in underperformance in mathematics, but there are problems in language, with reading, with comprehension, with writing. And we have to recognize that the majority of exams that students have to sit are written exams. So a closer look has to be taken at these programs, the remediation programs, especially at the primary school level. I want to recommend, especially for students who are differently abled and have different learning styles, the use of artificial intelligence learning tools. Teachers can use these AI tools in developing individualized learning plans and lesson plans for each student. This is a strategy that will help to meet the needs of the diverse learners. The approximately 50% of students who are struggling to achieve the learning outcomes at the Standard 5 level. This approach will help teachers to meet the needs of all learners. It will also improve teachers' ability using item analysis from authentic assessment strategies to make better decisions to support the learning of individual students. So AI in this way will help to meet the individual learning needs of each student and improve their chances of achieving educational success, especially as they move from primary to secondary. Schools must also provide online support for our learners. And this is linked up to the issuing of laptops and tablets to all our learners to have access to all of these tools. I want to touch on the issue of SEA transfers. Has the criteria changed for SEA transfers? On this last Friday, the 30th of August, I got a message from a parent of a child who wrote SEA in 2024 and who had applied for a transfer from the assigned secondary school 2 days before school opens, and this parent does not know which school uniform and books to buy. The family lives in South. The father of the child is disabled. The mother has to undergo surgery. They have to sell their car to make ends meet, and they can't afford the transport costs to send the child to school. How many more parents are in this plight, and what are the reasons for the delays in informing the parents? No official at the South Ministry of Education could tell the parent about where the transfer was in terms of the process. How many parents or students are in this dilemma? This really is unacceptable. Has there been a change in the transfer process? Is it true that the Cabinet has approved a new policy for all SEA transfers? Is it that the Minister of Education has to approve all SEA transfers? Is this the reason for delay in many parents finding out in a timely fashion whether the transfer for their child was approved? From my 20 years previous experience as a principal, there was a committee set up for the SEA transfer with experienced officials of the Ministry of Education. The Minister of Education was never directly involved in the process. Students were transferred based on published criteria. So I ask again, has the criteria changed for SEA transfers? Let's look at the secondary school results. At the CSEC level, students in Trinidad and Tobago normally outperform their counterparts in the Caribbean. But we have to look at the backward linkage using the data that comes, especially from the primary school. In 2024 CSEC, 42% passed maths, 45% passed 5 subjects with maths. If you look back at 9 years ago, 2015, 46% passed maths, 58% passed 5 subjects with maths. Why have these results deteriorated? What are the reasons for them? Have we looked closely at the reasons? But I want to refocus especially at students and schools that were identified that are at risk. I want to focus on those 16 high-risk secondary schools. And it was found that each of these schools exhibited the following characteristics. One, high percentage of Form 1 students who scored under 30% in the SEA. So we asked the question, what has been done to move them beyond that particular grade level? And two, the schools exhibited high levels of indiscipline, high absenteeism, and low levels of CSEC achievements. All these students would have spent 7 years in the primary school system before entering secondary school. So let's go back to the primary school and identify the root causes for these issues. Are the existing environments in secondary schools serving as incubators for students developing criminal behavior? What is the Ministry of Education doing to address these issues? Has education as a priority in Trinidad and Tobago changed given the lack of resources and funding provided and the chaotic manner in which these issues have been addressed? So I want to recommend, as I did with the use of artificial intelligence tools, safe and secure schools are schools with a high level of student and teacher discipline. Teachers are highly motivated to teach and students are highly motivated to learn. Schools are safe and secure. The school rules are respected and are followed. There's a high level of law and order. So I want to look at the enforcement of the discipline codes in schools, together with the existing school code of conduct. In my experience, the revamping of the community police system to assist school principals and administrators, especially deans, is recommended. During my time, in my 34 years experience as an educator, this community police system, when adequately staffed, has worked proactively in supporting school administrators in improving the discipline levels in schools. And the second recommendation about schools would be school cultures have to be transformed. We have to find ways to motivate our students and our teachers as we create safer and improved learning environments. We must be aware of the learning environment in schools. We must be aware of the negative influences outside the school environment, the drugs and the violence and the effects of social media. But this requires appropriate training for principals and heads of departments and deans in management and leadership skills in order to develop strategies to keep students engaged at all times in positive, proactive activities. When our students are not engaged and they have downtime, they find time to get involved in all kinds of other activities. So these activities, when students are fully engaged, will allow students to express their creative talents and promote innovative ways of learning. And so, when we talk about developing entrepreneurs, many of the programs in schools must be based on developing our learners, giving them those skills that will allow them to be first in the line when chosen for employment. And one of the things I want to say is this: we have to empower administrators and teachers. They must have full control of their schools. So in conclusion, I want to say safe, secure, adequately staffed, well-trained administrators and teachers are required for us to have any significant change in the success of our students. Thank you very much.
Good morning again, members of the media, and thank you very much, Dr. Dowlath, for that very comprehensive presentation on some of the pertinent issues affecting the education sector. During my introduction, I indicated that I will be dealing with certain aspects of national security and issues in relation to the constituency of Baratory San Juan. And when we woke up today, this morning, and we looked at the newspaper the day after we celebrated 62 years of independence, this is the headlines in the newspaper. Man snatched outside Union Hall home, found dead hours later, kidnapped and killed. This is what we are celebrating after 62 years of being an independent country under this regime led by Keith Christopher Rowley. One of the major issues affecting us all is crime and criminality. Our citizens are locked in their homes, they are locked behind burglar proofs, they are scared to go out. And Dr. Dowlath reflected on some of the issues in relation to students tomorrow and the fear and apprehension, where a lot of parents are also fearful to send their students to school simply because of the unabated levels of school violence. So there's violence in the school and in the society as a whole. And we are today met with, in 2024, a murder toll of over 416 of our citizens who have been killed. Home invasions continue to be on the rise. A few hours ago, the same headline that I just showed, that body was found in St. Madeleine in the pond. And then it shocked the nation of the killing, the gruesome killing of 5-year-old Anika Guerra. Her body was riddled with bullets from that constituency of Moruga Tableland. And the only response that the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago could have for the nation is, don't blame me. Don't blame me. Dr. Rowley washed his hands out of that entire situation and says, I am not responsible for the crime situation. Today I ask Dr. Rowley, who then is responsible? The buck stops with you, and we will bolt this to your chest because you are ultimately responsible for the governance of Trinidad and Tobago. You today sit as the head of the National Security Council. You, under your prerogative given to you by the Constitution, appointed Fitzgerald Hines as the Minister of National Security. You then appointed Mrs. Scotland as a junior minister in that ministry. And today you tell us, don't blame me for crime? Dr. Rowley, you are abdicating your responsibility as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Our citizens are fearful. We have seen reports where business people in this country are clamoring for firearms, yet they cannot get firearms, and these are law-abiding citizens who are qualified and who have met the criteria under the Firearms Act to have these firearms. We have seen businessmen flee from Trinidad and Tobago to other parts of the world simply because of this extortion ring that is taking place in Trinidad and Tobago, where gangs are extorting businesses and have people running away from Trinidad and Tobago. And as a young person, I often interact with many professionals, and they tell me that if the PNM wins the next general election, they will no longer be interested in living in Trinidad and Tobago. And that is the sad state of affairs that we live in, because there will be an ultimate brain drain in our society. So Dr. Rowley says, don't blame me for crime. He says it. And then he justifies his statement by saying this, according to the 29th August 2024 Trinidad Express article. He said, crime is not based on who is in government, but as a matter of opportunity. You remember Dr. Rowley was the same person in 2012 when he served as the opposition leader who said, if you can't deal with crime, that is the government. If the government can't deal with crime, then the government is part of the problem. So it is convenient when you are in government and when you are in opposition to determine who is responsible for the criminality in Trinidad and Tobago. And then he says it is done on the basis of whether there are benefits to be had by perpetrators. And as fast as you stop or suppress one area, they surprise you with new ingenuity and heartlessness. Dr. Rowley, every single part of Trinidad and Tobago is under the siege of crime. We're under siege because of these criminals, and you are doing absolutely nothing. Then he says, there are laws to govern this country, and he implored young people to stay away from crime. This is what Dr. Rowley is saying. First, it's not his fault, it's an opportunity. And then the second thing, he's asking young people now to stay away from crime. He said, and I'm quoting, I am simply appealing to young people in this country, take advantage of the many opportunities provided by the government and others, and go down the road of a life of a productive citizen who is not engaged in violent conduct. Well, Dr. Rowley, I have worked with my statistics because I want to show that your government, under your leadership over the 9 years, have created an environment for opportunities for criminals. You have removed several programs that were in place by the last People's Partnership UNC-led administration that were engaging the young people, that were creating a productive society, that were giving people skill-based learning, education opportunities. I have the statistics here and I'm going to share it with you this morning. There's a program called the HELP Loan, Higher Education Loan Program. He speaks about opportunity. In 2015, the number of loans that were approved to students were 2,233 loans. For the period 2023, under Dr. Rowley, it is 440. Under the MUST program, the number of trainees enrolled as at 2015 were 3,210. For the period 2023, 190. And this is from the Social Sector Improvement Program budget books that we got these data from. The HYPE, helping you prepare for employment, the number of trainees enrolled as at 2015 was 771. For the period 2023, under Dr. Rowley, 208. The Civilian Conservation Corps program, for the period 2015, we had approximately 2,400 trainees. For the period 2015, we had approximately 2,400 trainees. For the period 2023, under Dr. Rowley, there's 863 trainees. Under the CPEP program, Community-Based Environment Protection and his Enhancement Program, the number of participants as at 2015 were 11,069. For the period 2023, there were 9,771. The OJT program, in 2015, when the UNC left government, there were 7,533 trainees. In 2023, that reduced to 1,602. And this is the track record of this Rowley government. And then he comes on a platform and he says, hey, don't blame me for crime, it's an opportunity. Well, if your government has created the opportunity for crime, then this is the result. Time after time, we would have advocated to this government that you have to pay particular attention to the young people of this country. Give them opportunities. But this government shut down everything that was deemed to be what a UNC program was. But these are programs that benefited the people of Trinidad and Tobago, in particular the young people. The statistics speak for themselves that at the end of the day, more young people were engaged under a UNC government as compared to a PNM government. And then you said what? Don't blame me. Dr. Rowley, you are the only person that must be blamed for the crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago. And if you cannot take care of our citizens and keep them safe, you have abdicated your responsibility, and your time as the Prime Minister of this country has expired. It has expired. Dr. Rowley is no more than an expired politician and a failed Prime Minister. Then he comes to say, well, his big plan is that let's appoint Mr. Keith Scotland as the junior minister for national security, and that may do something about the crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, let's look at what we did as a government. There were 8 police stations that were opened under the People's Partnership government. Arima, Piaco, Maloney, Komoto, Brasso, Lebre, Oropuch, Maruga. The programs implemented, because we understand that crime is not just laws that you have to pass. It is about boots on the ground. It is about a holistic approach in terms of an all-of-government approach to defeat the criminals. You have to ensure that programs are implemented with respect to the police and the community. And some of those programs were the launch of the E99 program, the establishment of the National Operations Center, the introduction of the Rapid Response Unit, the Counter Trafficking Unit. We initiated payments of a non-taxable special allowance of $1,000 to all serving officers of the protective services. The launch of the Community Comfort Patrol, banned the use of cell phones while driving, established 13 surveillance bays, the establishment of Private Security Network Commission, the National Security Training Academy, police vehicles were equipped with GPS, the acquisition of additional vessels for the Coast Guard from the Damon Company, CCTV cameras that were in fact installed all over Trinidad and Tobago. We left government with a murder detection rate of 18%, 1/8. In the year 2019, that detection rate went down to 8%. 8, from 18% to 8% under a Rowley-led administration. And yet today he has Hines sleeping in the ministry. He must get rid of Hines. Then, under our tenure, there were 2,461 murders. Under the Rowley administration, there are 4,316 murders and counting. In terms of the prisons, there were allocations being made to the nation's prisons in terms of upgrade of the facilities, in terms of roof, ration rooms, the fleet of vehicles, improvements in the various sectors. In terms of the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard, there was an initial investment of $612.2 million made in fiscal 2015. Today, what we have seen is that those vessels were not properly maintained, the Damon vessels, and those vessels are no longer, well, most of them are inoperable simply because of a failed management system in terms of the vehicle maintenance. And that's the problem. The government purchases these expensive equipment, but they are not properly maintained. We have seen them with respect to the police vehicles. There are graveyards of police vehicles in Trinidad. When we ask these questions in Parliament, you would realize that there are over, I believe, 2,000 derelict police vehicles which could have been repaired and placed on the nation's road to keep our citizens safe. There are police stations, for example, in Barataria, where there was one police car that had to manage an entire area from Maritime Roundabout all the way to Arangwes to the Eastern Main Road. That incredibly large populated area for one police vehicle, that is inadequate. And they cannot use money as the problem because the government has money. The issue is poor, incompetent management at the end of the day. And these are some of the issues that we raise in terms of the proper management of the national security apparatus in Trinidad and Tobago. The Air Guard also was properly staffed and assets acquired under the Air Guard when we were the government of Trinidad and Tobago led by the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar. And then when we see other studies coming out with respect to recidivism rates, it shows that the prisons are not being used as a rehabilitation center. But I want to just go into some statements that Dr. Rowley would have made in the past also, because these are the issues that we have to remember. In 2017, after killing spree, he said that his government is committed to provide national law enforcement, where it was required to do all that is humanly possible under the ambit of the law to find the perpetrators and swiftly bring them to justice. That was a promise made in 2017. Where are we today? Over 4,000 murders. 2 years later, in his independence message in 2019, the Prime Minister took to task those doomsters who pronounced wrongly that your government would never progressively pursue the spate of violent crimes. Well, those doomsters are correct. Today, January 1st, 2023, in his New Year message, he said the security of citizens continue to be of serious concern to my government. The Ministry of National Security faces this challenge every day, confronting it with a broad strategy which relies on presence, quick response, dedication, agility, and resilience of our protective services. This is Dr. Rowley talking about having a quick response, dedicated, and agile ministry. Today, Minister Hines is sleeping. Minister Scotland doesn't know what he is doing. And you are promising the citizens of this country quick response and dedication. The only quick response we want is an election date. That is the only quick response we would like. May 31st, 2023, during a breakfast meeting with business executives, Dr. Rowley said that the government continues to ensure that we allocate the resources that are required to ensure that the minor component of our population does not prevail over the vast majority of us who are law-abiding, normal, aspiring citizens. Dr. Rowley, those law-abiding, normal, aspiring citizens are fleeing Trinidad and Tobago simply because they are fearful. They are absolutely fearful. And we have then seen what has taken place with the SSA in Trinidad and Tobago, the Strategic Services Agency, which has been used as a political tool by this PNM government to spy on their political opponents. But we, as the alternative government of Trinidad and Tobago, have outlined various plans, and the opposition leader, during a budget response, would have outlined certain solutions, certain management changes with respect to national security. And one of those major changes will be to divide the Ministry of National Security into three components. That ministry is one of the largest ministries throughout the government. The opposition leader has indicated that we will have a Ministry of Defense, which will take care of the borders. We will have a Ministry of Home Affairs, which will take care of the internal policing of Trinidad and Tobago. And then we'll have the Ministry of Justice that is dedicated towards the criminal justice system to ensure a quick, reliable, and safe criminal justice system so that criminals in this country will face the full brunt of the law with speedy trials. The opposition leader also indicated that as part of the manifesto of the United National Congress going into government, that there will be easy access to legal firearms for law-abiding citizens and the lawful rights to defend yourself and your family in your homes. Stand your ground laws so you can have a fighting chance against these brutal, murderous criminals. Home invasion laws. And also a point that Dr. Dowlath addressed, placing police officers to patrol inside schools to protect your children, because what we are seeing in these schools are not bullying but actually violent crimes. And these are some of the plans that we have as a government, and more of these plans will be rolled out as we engage into the campaign going into general election 2024 or maybe 2025. But we in the United National Congress, we have the plans, we have the people in order to get Trinidad and Tobago safe again. But there's a particular issue that I would like to address that took place in my constituency on Friday, and that has to do with the St. George's College. And as many of you all know, St. George's College is in Barataria and is one of the premier educational institutions in Trinidad and Tobago. An institution that has existed for it's going to be about 71 years old now. And in 2022, because of lack of maintenance and repairs to that particular school that was housed in Barataria, the school had to be moved to the UTT Valsain because there were issues with respect to the ceiling and the roof, and it was no longer safe for students and staff to have occupied that building. So 2 years ago, that particular building was moved. So on Wednesday last week, I was happy to have received an invitation from the Ministry of Education, Dr. the Honorable Nyan Gatsby-Dolly, Minister of Education, and that invitation is to my left. I was gleeful, I was joyful, I was happy that this school is going to be reopened. So I saw the invitation said, further to the reopening of schools, it was addressed to the Member of Parliament for Barataria San Juan. And it reads, invitation to Ministry of Education's opening ceremony of St. George's College. Further to the reopening of schools for the 2024-2025 term in September 2024, you are cordially invited to attend the opening ceremony of the St. George's College on Friday, 30th August 2024 at 3 p.m. So I put on my suit and I ventured into the compound of the St. George's College. Happy to be part of this opening. I arrived early at 2:45. The minister did not arrive until after 4:15. So we were waiting there for over an hour and 15 minutes for her arrival. So when we eventually got to that facility in Barataria, what we saw, together with myself, the parents, and 2 students at the school, that was astonishing, that they have invited us for a formal opening of the St. George's College. And today I want to show you the pictures of the conditions we met and videos when we arrived at the St. George's College on Friday the 30th of August 2024 to open that school. And the pictures will be on my left. You will see some of the videos running. And those pictures will show disorganized classrooms. You will see broken, dirty furniture. You will see rat droppings in the school. You will see debris all over the corridor. You will see tiles that are missing. When I raised this issue with the Minister of Education, in October 2022 during the Budget Standing Finance Committee, she told the nation that the works there will amount to $10 million, that the government took a loan for $10 million to repair the St. George's College. Look at what $10 million gave us Trinidad and Tobago. That could never be value for money. That entire project right now raises so many questions, because when you see the very small area in which the roof and the ceilings were replaced, it begs, where the $10 million gone? Today, 24 hours before school reopens, we are now being told that only part of the school, some of the students can come to school on Monday, and the others will come later on. But they are having a big opening ceremony to cut ribbon. I could not, in good conscience, have engaged in that papi show, gimmick, and mama guy. I raised immediately with the Minister of Education on that day that students cannot come to the school based on the condition. The minister then quickly responded that they'll take 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, to get the school ready. But yet the school is not ready for full occupation on Monday morning. This drives frustration with respect to the staff and the students and the parents. Dr. Dowlath indicated very clearly that parents are frustrated sometimes, especially when you have to make arrangements for transportation, meal plans, general safety. And this is what the Ministry of Education is presenting to our nation's students. So this entire project calls to question. Minister of Education, it seems as though there's a shortage of ribbon in this country, because everywhere they want to go, they cut a ribbon. I think they cut a ribbon for a bridge somewhere in Kunupia. And I don't know if the bridge sinking already, because I saw some photographs where it seems as though that more work has to be done on that particular project that took over 10 months to build a bridge that could finish in about 2 or 3 weeks. And this is what this government is presenting to us. They are cutting ribbon all over the place. I call on the government to call the election date. Don't cut ribbon as PR gimmickry and mama guy. You cannot treat students like this. You cannot treat parents like this. This is not a UNC issue. This is not a PNM issue. This is about our nation's students. This is about the future of Trinidad and Tobago. Treat the students of Trinidad and Tobago with some respect, Minister. You cannot have children going into classrooms or a building looking like this. I dare the Minister of Education, if that building is fit for occupation, I want you to go and have office there on Monday. Move your office there temporarily for Monday. I challenge you, Minister, go and have office there on Monday. Because the school simply is not ready, but they're quick to invite us to a ribbon cutting ceremony. I could not have participated in that particular issue. The minister could not have provided any answers when I asked her, why are we here today for the opening? There are rat droppings all over that school. That is a health hazard. There's mosquito in the school. And you cannot, in no good conscience, have students occupying that building. So members of the media, these are some of the pertinent issues that we have to raise. This government has outlived its usefulness. They have expired, and it is now time that a new government take the folds of power, because they have proven after 9 years that they are incapable and incompetent to manage the affairs of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And I thank you very much. Now, so thank you very much, members of the media, for joining us, and I also want to congratulate Dr. Dowlath on his maiden contribution in the opposition press briefing. I think it was a very comprehensive, well-researched presentation that will augur well and give us a clear insight of the issues and challenges and solutions in the education sector. So I thank you very much, members of the media, and you stay in touch. We will have several activities in the upcoming weeks, and we will keep you informed through our official communications. Thank you very much and have a great day.